Hi everyone, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am doing a 24-hour readathon, and unlike previous attempts, I'm going to break my own rule of valuing sleep. Losing sleep this way is terrible for your health, but for me and for today, I am going to do a 24-hour readathon where I'm going to attempt to read 24 hours straight. It is 11 a.m. as I'm recording this on a Sunday, which means tomorrow, 11 a.m. on a Monday is when this 24-hour readathon will finish. I don't have much to tell you outside of that. I wish I had a TBR to show you, but I don't. I'm a fucking mood reader. Welcome to the chaos of my life. We're gonna decide what I'm gonna read as I finish books, but for sure what I'm going to get to in this vlog is Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard. This is a book about a movie that is fucking haunted and creepy shit is going on. We'll see what else I pick up, but the rules for this 24-hour readathon is that as soon as the readathon begins, I cannot stop reading, with the exception being the updates that I do for you in these little clips. Other than that, I must be reading the whole time through. Yes, audiobooks fucking count. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go out to Home Goods. It is almost August at this point, so I want to see if they have their Halloween decor out, and I'm going to be listening to an audiobook while I do that. Which audiobook I'm going to be listening to? Your guess is as good as mine, but I will give you the update when I pick something and have some thoughts to give you. So with that said, let's get started. Okay, besties, I am listening to Fourth Wing. I'm in the audiobook like chapter 5. In the physical book, I'm very sure this is chapter 1. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I tried to read Fourth Wing for a different reading vlog. I didn't fucking like it. I thought it was mediocre at best from like the first few pages that I read. If you liked Fourth Wing, I'm not telling you that you're wrong. I'm just telling you that this book may not be for me. Although the audiobook did just become available on Scribd, it's immediately available, so I'm gonna listen to this as I go about my day. Just know, don't keep your hopes up that I will finish this, because there's a very, very, very high likelihood that I will DNF it. I just wanna give it a fair chance. The air conditioner. Apologies, I'm not turning that fucking off. It is too goddamn hot in here, so bear with me. So I got back from shopping. As you saw, I went to Home Goods and I went to Target, just picking up some stuff I'm gonna need, including some sparkling waters that are caffeinated for our late night reading. I wanted to let you know that I read a lot of books, and if I told you every single book I was flipping through while I was outside for those 2 hours, you would be confused. So instead, I'm going to tell you that I am DNFing Fourth Wing for the third and final time. Besties, I simply do not give a single fuck about this book. So that's a wrap. You'll see it behind me in an unhaul at some point later on this year. Then I listened to Deceived by the Gargoyles. Deceived by the Gargoyles by Lillian Lark, which I am really enjoying. It had me blushing and grinning because they're already so fucking cute. This is the story of a witch who comes from a very, very wealthy and prominent family, and people take advantage of her for that, but what she really wants is like love and a family. So she goes to a matchmaker and gets matched to a gargoyle. They have a pretty great connection, but Mr. Gargoyle has 2 other mates that our main female character does not know about. So that's going to play out. I am really enjoying this, but this book is really fucking spicy. And I'm not the kind of girl who can go outside and listen to spice, especially not in the audiobook format, with them moaning in your ears. So I quickly moved on, but I'll return to deceived by the Gargoyles later on tonight when it's dead of night, midnight, and I'm playing The Sims. And then I checked out The Haunting of Maddy Clare at my local library from the Libby app. And this is a story of a woman who gets a job as like an assistant to this man who's a ghost hunter in what I'm assuming is maybe early 1900s in England. I'm assuming 1800s, so just based on the audiobook. And they're going to investigate the case of this 19-year-old spirit at this private property. That's all I know. I checked it out on a whim. It will be great to listen to when I'm doing my little hobbies, but for now, back to reading. I'm going to continue my audiobook just because I'm not ready to sit down and read all the way through, but we are officially 2 hours into our 24 hours. Hello. We are 4.5 hours in, and I got to the halfway point for The Haunting of Maddy Clare. I am somewhat enjoying this book. What I'll tell you is that the haunting itself is super scary, but I wish we got more of it. Because at this point, what you're mainly getting is a romance between our main character, Sarah, and like the scribe on this paranormal case. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm fucking confused because they literally out of nowhere were super fucking into each other and just had the hots for each other. And I'm like, literally 1 page ago, you didn't even like this man. You were scared of him. How are you suddenly in love with him? Or at least have like such a strong crush on him. And we get so much of their romance. And I'm like, I feel like I'm reading a romance and not a paranormal horror. The haunting itself, it's spooky, but I want more of the haunting. And those are my only thoughts at this point, halfway through. In terms of the 24-hour readathon, I'm getting dizzy. Don't know why, just am. All right, official update. It is almost 8 p.m. I am reading Runtime. I'll continue with The Haunting of Maddy Clare a little bit later tonight. I just want to switch from an audiobook to a physical book. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Runtime is the story of this actress who gets hired very last minute to be the lead in this horror movie about a couple that goes on a vacation in the woods and things go wrong. But the couple in the movie are reading this book, and this book is kind of predicting what's happening to them in real life, which is repeating itself on the set of the movie that's being filmed in present day. It's very convoluted. That is what's happening. I've gotten to the part where our actress has gotten to set, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm very sure there's a case of mistaken identity with someone on the crew, and I'm gonna take a bath now, and I'm gonna continue to read this. I just want to let you know that I am at the 100-page mark, which is Act 2, and I'm enjoying the setting of this the most, and I'm excited for the scary parts to happen, because Act 1 is literally just a setup to the story and to them getting to the actual set and starting filming where the story kicks off. I mentioned earlier, The Haunting of Maddy Clare is feeling like a romance with spooky elements to it, and I paused because my girl's about to randomly fuck this man that she supposedly really has a crush on, very out of the blue. And I was like, we'll come back to that later. We are at the 13-hour mark, and I am 50% of the way through Runtime. I feel like I'm reading this a lot slower than I normally would, and that's just because this book is quite literally difficult to hold. Like, you can see how far it naturally opens. It's giving me hand cramps, okay, besties? It's too tightly bound. But anyway, I am 50% of the way through this, and I am still really enjoying it for the most part. I feel the same level of annoyance that our lead character here, Adele, feels with the rest of the crew, just because she's getting the ick, and I am also getting the ick. It is an entire crew of men, and she just feels deeply uncomfortable being the only woman on the set, especially because 99% of these men are extremely misogynistic, sexist, and just make her deeply uncomfortable. And of course, as a reader, that's uncomfortable to read about. She's alone on set, right? And she feels like the crew is pranking her, but the only reaction that she's having is to say like, fuck you guys. And she goes to her cabin to like sit and eat snacks and like essentially read and play on her phone. And without spoiling anything, there's context reasons for why that reaction does not make sense, especially as a woman. You would not keep yourself in an isolated situation in the middle of the forest where you are already feeling unsafe and unsettled, find yourself completely alone, and then think that nothing sinister is going on, especially when she has reasons to think that something sinister might be going on. Her reaction just does not make sense, because to me, my instinct would be get the fuck out. And she has the ability to leave. She has the contact for a cab to get her the fuck out of there. So I don't understand why she is not taking this situation as a serious threat at all, especially given how hyper vigilant and hyper aware she is of her sense of safety. And every situation that, and the entire situation is like a giant red flag. So the fact that she's not viewing it as dangerous makes her reaction feel completely unrealistic for the situation that she is in. Now, I am going to try to finish this, and when it hits 11 p.m., I'm going to make a mocktail, a pear and hibiscus caffeine mocktail, to get me through the final 12 hours of this readathon, where hopefully I will be picking up the pace, because I can't believe at the 12-hour mark, I've not finished a single book. Listen, besties, I'm just taking my time, okay? 24-hour readathon. The point is to stay up for 24 hours, not to speed through the books as quickly as possible. I'm still trying to go at a pace that I find enjoyable, especially with the audiobook that I'm listening to of The Haunting of Maddy Clare. I don't want to speed that up any faster than what I'm already listening to. And this book is just fucking long, okay? Runtime is long. She's thick. She's hard to hold. We'll get there. It will probably pick up speed, because after I finish the little horror section here, I want to go on to read romance, and that's going to be super fun. We're going to go back to the Gargoyle book. All right, that's my update. I will update you again when I hit Act 3 in about 100 pages or so, and then I'll give you my final update with my thoughts, and we'll switch over to something else. It's hot again, so the AC is on. I did get to Act 3 of Runtime. It's just past midnight, but it is getting a little ridiculous. Like, side-eye levels of ridiculous. And usually I enjoy a chaotic ending, so I only have 60 pages or so we'll see how this actually ends. But for now, I'm like, can we get to the end now? Can we get to the end of the story? I can't tell you why I feel that way, but just believe me that this chaotic. It is 1:20 a.m. I finished Runtime. My overall feelings is 3.5 stars. I definitely could predict who was on set, and I had some general feelings. I liked the writing. I liked the overall plot, although I wish we had more of like the movie filming aspects of the book. We didn't really get to that. It very quickly turned into a thriller. I liked the characters a lot. I think the writer did a great job of convincing me of like how I should feel about these characters, although there is a character in here who, I don't know, there's a character in here when I first read her, right, where I was like, I don't think I like this story and the portrayal of this supposed character, a mystery character we don't know about, because Adele is telling us a story. She was unhinged, and not unhinged in like a girl boss slay kind of way. Unhinged in a terrible portrayal of women kind of way. It was just like, I would like some more depth there. I'm trying to like carefully toe around my words here, just because if I said too much, it would spoil the story for you. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Ultimately, this was a 3.5 star read. I had a fun time with it. I'm glad that I read it. And even though it is thick, and I don't recommend the hardback for this, just because it is really hard to hold and genuinely uncomfortable to read, if you can, get the paperback or get the audiobook. I forgot what I was saying because it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm fucking tired. So I did have my little caffeine cocktail. I'm going to switch over to the audiobook for the Gargoyles one, which I'm going to tell you where I left off and why I couldn't continue that while I was outside. Our gargoyle was taking a shower, and then one of his mates comes in and my boy is about to get his cheeks clapped. That's the scene that I left off on. So I'm going to continue on from there, and I'll give you my update at some point, probably at some point at 2 a.m. We only have 9.5 hours, and the fact that I'm still up at this point is truly a miracle. Although I do want to lay down in bed, but if I do that, I will go to sleep. So we'll try to keep this going. I just love how the audio is fucked for a lot of these clips. So thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to keep you here so you can hear me a little bit better. But I am reading Tentacles and something. It's the Muscles and Monsters series. You can see it right here. And I fucking love how unserious monster romances are. While there are some parts of the story that are already making me a twinge uncomfortable, there are other parts of the story that are just making me laugh. Like, our character Cyrus is a Kraken, and he already is like such a sweet, soft, like artist type, but you can see here on the cover that you only see him from like the waist up, and that's because his bottom half, just taking these clips out of context and listening to what I'm telling you, his bottom half is a bunch of tentacles. Have you ever seen a squid walk or an octopus walk, like underwater where they're dragging themselves by their tentacles?
That's how he walks. He's literally an octopus.
It's almost 4 a.m. Am I going to move from this position? Probably not. I realize I gave you my update on this book here, but didn't even tell you what it's about. This is the story of these people who live in Briar Glen, and Briar Glen is this fictional place where the air conditioner gets in the way of you hearing me. Anyway, Briar Glen is this fictional place where monsters have essentially revealed themselves to humans and they coexist. And this one, you're following Cyrus, who is our Kraken monster character, and you're following Reese. And Reese is training for a triathlon, but he is a poor swimmer. His sister is marrying a werewolf, and the werewolf owns the gym that this series kind of centers around. So he gets introduced to our Kraken character, Cyrus. Cyrus immediately knows that Reese is his mate, but he also recognizes that even for other mythical creatures, Krakens have a hard time with people's reactions because they look so different to anything that you could expect. I told you he literally has tentacles from the torso down. He agrees to help Reese with his swimming, like training him to swim and preparing him for the triathlon, in the hopes that they'll be able to spend more time together and he can persuade Reese that there's more to him that meets the eye and that they are compatible. This is pure fluff with lots and lots and lots of spicy scenes. If you're looking for something that is like low stakes, low anxiety, low tension, you just want to read something that is very fluffy with a lot of spice, and you like monster romance, this was a very cute one, although I do not think it is particularly realistic to a MM relationship. So I'm fucking hitting the wall. Like, I really am, besties. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning, and while I definitely could stay up longer, I don't know how much longer I will stay up. So if I pause the timer and go to bed, please forgive me, because I'm staying up as late as I can. For reference, I am never up this late, so for it to be 4 o'clock in the morning is impressive for this video. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun is coming up. I'm still awake, but as you can see, fucking delirious. So I want to give you my reading update. Obviously, I read this book here out of the blue because it's by Rachel Lacey, and I really enjoyed Something in the Stars. That's not right. Stars Collide. And I gave this book 2.5 stars. Ultimately, I just didn't care. I was bored. Sorry. It's a novella though, and it's only like 80 something pages, so like I'm glad that I finished it. I don't see the main characters, like the couple in the story, really staying together beyond a month after the epilogue. So then I switched over to listening to Deceived by the Gargoyles, which I am enjoying a lot. Deceived by the Gargoyles, I've already mentioned, it's the story of this witch who wants to find family, wants to find her true love. So she goes to a matchmaking agency and she gets matched with this gargoyle. They're super compatible, but he's hiding the secret that he actually has 2 other mates. And if she wants to be part of this, she's going to court and date all of them. Their relationship itself between Elliot and, damn, what's this girl's name? Grace. Elliot and Grace is really, really cute. Like I was saying earlier, it like just made me blush and go, oh, so cute, so precious. But there's definitely the whole introduction to how she gets into the clan and starts dating the other brothers. They're not brothers, they're all mates, and she just calls them brothers because she doesn't understand their relationship until Elliot tells her, like, I have these other mates. Of course, the book is called Deceived by the Gargoyles, and I have absolutely no problem at all with like ethical non-monogamy or like polyamory, but that requires consent and awareness of all partners and all people involved. Otherwise, it's not ethical. You're cheating. That's what happened here. Elliot is dating, it's not a spoiler, this is the premise of the story. Elliot is dating Grace, but not telling her that he has 2 other mates. Therefore, that's not ethical non-monogamy because she has no awareness that he is also dating other people. And his mates, while their relationship is open and he's allowed to date others in the way that he's doing it, it's also deception to them because he's breaking the rules of their open relationship in order to bring this 3rd person in. Now, obviously, it's a romance and it's all going to work out for them. So yeah, just wanted to make sure I brought that up because it's important for me to note that if cheating is something that's going to bother you, you should be aware of it. It's a point of tension in the story for sure, but it's important to note, especially in this polyamorous story, which does get brought up. It's not just dismissed. These characters have the very same conversation that I'm having with you and the concerns that I had earlier on before the characters even met. I am enjoying the characterization, and what I find in these kind of romances is that the male characters kind of start to feel the same. There's not that much distinction, and that's not the case here. Alistair, Roderick, and Elliot have their very own distinct personalities, which is fantastic. And I also love that this is not really, this is a polyamorous romance, not necessarily a why choose romance, because they're all dating and sexually involved with each other. It's not just the men around the women, which is just what creates that distinction between a why choose and a polyamorous romance. For me, I also am enjoying the world. There is a lot of solid world building, a lot of great mythology, and we're already getting like the plot that's threading this together beyond like their whole mating thing, which would have been plot enough on its own because it's a romance, but there is like a fantasy subplot here with witches and the magical community as well. But to be very truthful with you, I am hitting the point of like delusion, where the only thing that I'm really processing right now is the audiobook, and that doesn't make for a super enjoyable reading experience, just because anything that I would read physically or continue to listen to after this audiobook is over is just gonna go in one ear and out the other. I kid you not when I say for the past 3 hours, literally from like 3 a.m. to now at 6 a.m. no thoughts. My brain has just been empty. It's been screaming, why are you not asleep? Why are we awake? Anyway, see you in my next update. Good morning, besties. It is 10 a.m. I woke up at 9:30. Obviously, I did fall asleep, but I kept the sleep to a minimum, okay? As you can see by the dark circles under my eyes, quite literally, I needed more sleep, but I woke up naturally at 9:30, so I only slept for 3 hours, and I'm immediately resuming the readathon. So I'm still listening to the Gargoyles one. It is so much spicier than I thought it was, and it's also just really, really good. The dynamics are so sweet. It's reminding me a lot of the Gargoyle Daddy book, Titan. If you like Titan, I think that you would like this book too. It has a similar amount of fantasy and world building, beautiful character relationships, and like character arcs and development, but the writing is also really fun. It's super spicy, and it's generally just a good time. I'm going to work on finishing that, and officially I have 4 hours or so left of the 24-hour readathon, which means I stayed up for 20 hours yesterday. I'll let you know how I feel when I finish this book. So besties, I've finished. I can't get over how fucking tired I look. I finished, so what was this book called? Deceived by the Gargoyles. Oh boy, I love this book so much. This is for my girlies who love smudge, who read monster romances, and who are intrigued by the idea of a polyamorous relationship with 3 gargoyles and a witch. I love this a lot. While it definitely had a fantasy subplot to pull it through, there were things going on and moments of tension that existed outside of the relationship between these characters. Most of it was smut, like every other chapter. If you don't like that kind of romance, you're not gonna like this book, but I did really enjoy it, and that could just be because the endorphins of reading smut for the past few hours when I was absolutely exhausted did get me through the morning. But I am going to give this book like 4.5 stars. It's just what I look for in a monster romance. It fulfilled all of my wishes, and I'm happy to say that because I read like the Lake Monster book by this author at some point on my channel. It's in a video somewhere, probably a Kindle Unlimited video somewhere. And I enjoyed that, but I couldn't stop picturing Gil, and the novella format didn't work. This is a full-length novel. It's 340 pages, and the audiobook is about 9 or 10 hours, so it is full length. But it works so much more. The plot and the world develop. This one is just a little bit more heavy with the erotica. So I'm going to read my next book, but as you can hear, the shower is running, so I have to go in and wash my hair because yesterday I slicked it down with so much fucking gel that it's time to wash my hair. Admittedly, I will not be reading in the shower, but the shower's only 20 minutes. It's fine. Remember I told you I was reading The Haunting of Maddy Clare, and it was feeling more like a romance than anything else, and I said that they were about to do that. I didn't think they actually would. I'm curious to see how it goes in, but if I'm being totally honest, I still feel that the romance in this is deterring from the horror elements, and yes, I'm just showing you my mop. Anyway, right, I have finished The Haunting of Maddy Clare. I'm very sure I've been calling her Maddy Clark this whole time. Maddy Clare, this is Simone St. James' debut novel. I did not know that. But I enjoyed this story overall, and I finished it just as our 24-hour timer was going off. I think this is a 3 to 3.5 star read. While I enjoyed the ending and how it all came together, the romance was a little bit too central for a story that is supposed to be suspenseful and a horror about a ghost. Maddy's story itself is hard to hear, so I would check on the content warnings, although I think that personally there were some things that led you to believe that Maddy perhaps may not be a spirit, by which I mean in the paranormal realm of a human spirit that's passed on and is lingering. Instead, I think that Maddy was a manifestation of her anger and her resentment, which is why she had these kind of, I don't want to say demonic, but like bestie, some real demonic kind of things going on. But obviously Maddy was a girl. This is not a spoiler. This is the premise of the story. You know that they are going to investigate the ghost at this barn where everybody believes the ghost is Maddy, a servant girl who used to live there. But let me give you a recap of the 24 hours that we just spent together while I'm still very much full delusion. So I read I was going to say I read 24 books. No, I didn't. I read for 24 hours. We stayed up through the night until the sun came up, and I read 5 books. Almost all of these books were full-length novels, with my total page count for this 24-hour from yesterday at 11 a.m. to today at 2 p.m. because I fell asleep in the morning for like 3 hours. I read 1,350 pages. I did really have a good time reading in this format. While I don't recommend doing this necessarily, because interrupting your sleep schedule is really bad for you and you'll end up looking like me where you're absolutely fucking exhausted and can't even keep your thoughts straight because you're so goddamn tired. That said, it did make me want to keep reading. Like when The Haunting of Maddy Clare ended, I immediately just wanted to pick up my next book, obviously because I am not going to sleep at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I will be staying up until at least 8 p.m. tonight so that I can sleep through the night. My favorite books, my standout books of this little 24 hours is definitely the Deceived by the Gargoyles book, just because it's the kind of monster romance that I really like. And I'm going to be reading Entranced by the Basilisks next, which with the context of Deceived by the Gargoyles will be a very fun book to read. Another one is Tentacles and Triathlons. Surprise, surprise, it's another monster romance. I just like this one for how fluffy and sweet and romantic it is, although I do think that it is very much a romance written by a woman, and that is how it reads. I feel like I should have other things to tell you, but I fucking don't. All right, so thanks so much for watching this video, besties. I hope that you did enjoy it. I would tell you that I'm going to sleep, but I'm fucking not. So I'm gonna go stare into space for quite some time. If you are not already subscribed and you would like to, please do. I read a lot of romance, fantasy, and horror. And with that said, I will see you in my next video. Bye.